Welcome to The Heat Source, the podcast where we learn everything we can about hot sauce, one bottle at a time. We are your hosts, Mike and Matt, and today we're trying Cinnamon Ghost Punch from Hell's Kitchen Hot Sauce. Let's heat up! All right, welcome back, everybody, for episode 11 with a trip to New York with Hell's Kitchen Hot Sauce.
I'm excited about this one.
I tried this one at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest, and immediately when I tried it, I knew that this was going to be a unique one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is Hell's Kitchen Hot Sauce Cinnamon Ghost Punch, which sounds familiar to people if they had cereal in the as a kid.
Cheerios, right?
Cheerios, Grape Nuts, very similar naming.
Yeah.
This was one of the, I don't know if this sauce specifically, but this was one of the tables at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest that he had 12 sauces, and I just ran the gauntlet. I was just trying each sauce. And the benefit of trying all the sauces in a row is most of them, while initially I got the flavor, I moved on so fast that if I went back and tried them again, it'd be a unique experience.
Yeah.
This one is very unique, though, because I don't think I've ever had another hot sauce with cinnamon in it as one of the main components.
Sure.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe they had one in it.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't.
Like prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it stood out. It stood out to me in a way where I'm like, I really like this, but how would I use it? And I have a few ideas that I've been working on.
Yeah.
Just from thinking about it recently, because at the time I was going through 25 different booths of hot sauce with, I think I probably averaged somewhere around like 150 sauces that I tried out there.
Crazy.
So
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm already thinking chili. A lot of people put like cinnamon in their chili. Do you remember that batch I made for the Christmas party? Yeah. And I put way too much cinnamon in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
I would leave the cinnamon out and just add this next time.
It was still good, but yeah, this would be one where it gives you put as much heat in it as much as you want cinnamon.
Yeah.
With this, so it kind of helps you proportion it. But it is, I mean, he does have a little scale, a 6 pepper scale. 5 of the peppers are on fire.
Yeah.
On this one.
That has me. Did he have any 6 peppers? Did you look at that at all?
This was not his hottest. He has some that are even hotter. I tried them all. I'm sure that there were ones that were 6 pepper. He has 12 sauces, 12 like hot sauces, and then a wing sauce. I think that's the full array of sauces he has right now.
Okay. That's a lot.
It is.
Have 12 different ones?
It is, but each one is uniquely in its own lane. There's very few that have overlapping. Like sometimes you get a sauce where it's, hey, this is my sauce, and it moves up in levels.
Mild, medium, hot.
Yeah. Or here's like
same flavor.
Three different, we have stanky sauce that has a couple habanero sauces, and they're all good. But with 12 sauces, you can't do 12 sauces. You could try, but you shouldn't do 12 sauces of one pepper. He goes, I have the list actually of the sauces that he started out with, his original 6. Just in styles, I'll go through the names in a second, but just through styles, he has a Louisiana style, a coconut curry, a verde sauce, an ancho chili, a mango honey, orange jalapeno, and then cinnamon ghost punch. Those were his original 6.
Okay.
Vastly different.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely, when he has an idea, it's never like, this is similar to this other one I did. It's just, it seems to go in a distinct direction.
Right. Artwork, too, on the bottle. That's one of my favorites. That's pretty neat. It's just like there's an 8-bit Donkey Kong on there. Just like a grid pattern. I don't know. It's just really neat.
The video game aesthetic on the side is actually, I believe it's from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out from Nintendo.
Is that what it is?
It is, but the character on the bottom, the one that's punching, the one that replaced the character you would play as on the NES system, is kind of like a pinup girl with like the devil horns.
Yeah. All
of his sauces have some type of themed pinup girl.
Okay.
It's just part of the array of his style. I actually know, let me go to my notes on this, all the artwork was done by Dan Birch. Which does a lot of different artwork for him and all his artwork, but also artwork for different beer companies. Like this style I could totally see as like some of those different beer labels. But he's on Instagram at DF Birch. I looked at his stuff and he's got some crazy designs. But yeah, this one is I'm curious how this episode will go because Hell's Kitchen hot sauce, the name itself, there's a lot you can dive into in just the name of Hell's Kitchen, learning about not just his sauce, but just about Hell's Kitchen. The other part is the Cinnamon Ghost Punch, the cereal theme. I could go in that avenue, which actually was the last thing I thought of. You asked me today, and you're like, oh, so we're going to talk about cereal. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I should probably look that up. But then also the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out theme on the side, I have a little bit about that as well, but it's like, normally we have the sauce and a tangent, and then there's things along the way. There's a bunch of paths.
Yeah. There's, like, without tasting it, there's a lot going on with everything associated with this so far.
Yeah, so just a couple things before we get into opening up the sauce and trying it. We are in the middle of the Mammoth Hot Sauce giveaway, our second giveaway with Mammoth Hot Sauce. Hey everybody, Matt here. Just a quick note on this. This episode got aired out of order, so we actually had a winner on the Mammoth Hot Sauce Company giveaway. Congratulations to Local Drinkers Union. Congratulations on your free bottle of hot sauce. Just want to mention that in case anyone was looking for that giveaway this week. Other than that, enjoy the rest of the episode. They have a bottle of Mad Jupiter that is being given away on Friday this week. But on Thursday, end of day Thursday, is the deadline to go to the post from last week, either on our site or Mammoth, follow both pages. You can tag up to 3 people for 3 entries into getting that sauce, which there's been a few posts about it. We had a post today using it on a loaded mac and cheese, which I kind of called an Angry Mac.
That was good.
In the post. Yeah. It is a classic red sauce in look. It has a unique flavor from your standard like Frank's or Tabasco or whatever like that. But it is that sauce that goes on almost anything. Mm-hmm. I brought it camping a week and a half ago now, and it was the fan favorite for everyone that's kind of more or less like into just kind of like entry level or kind of more simple hot sauce. Mm-hmm. Everyone loved it. So be sure to get in on that giveaway before it's too late. I believe Steve at Mammoth will post the winner on Friday's Tea Talk or somewhere around that time. I love his Tea Talks. I feel like at one of these points, we'll have to get on his Tea Talk for one.
Yeah. I haven't listened to him yet, but...
Yeah. They're good. He's only done 3, I believe, so far.
Okay.
But we've been talked about on 2 of them, so...
Nice.
At least 2.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure to check that out. And then also... I think that's actually it. Next week, we're going to be doing a 4th of July episode, which we're actually going to be recording shortly after this one. Keep an eye out for that one. Next week, Wednesday. Yeah, I think that's it. But let's get into the sauce. Let's open it up, and then we'll start talking about the sauce maker himself. But this one, we're back to the perforated seal.
That's a long one.
Yeah, so this one should be good.
It's got real good potential here.
I just clipped my fingernails, so that's making the startup a little difficult.
Pretty good.
It's not bad. I did mess up a little bit on the perforation.
Oh, man. How could you?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to let you mix this one up and then give it a whiff since you're a little bit less familiar.
Yeah, you got to let
find my spoon.
Whoa.
So the look of it is like a dark red. It reminds me of the El Perro of Fortunato. Yeah. As far as like a dark reddish brown.
Dark red, a lot of seasonings and spices you can see floating around.
Yeah. Do you smell cinnamon?
I get a lot of cinnamon. Yep. I get pepper and I get cinnamon.
On the ingredient list here, it lists the peppers as Ghost Habanero and Trinidad Scorpion, tomatoes, lime juice, vinegar, agave nectar, salt, cinnamon, garlic powder, and paprika. So it has quite a bit of heat in it with those 3.
Yeah.
Like it mentions the ghost in the name, but that's not all it's packing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's
Trinidad Scorpion Ghost Crunch.
Very Moroccan.
Punch doesn't have the same doesn't have the same ring to it.
At that point they've already been like running for about half a mile. Yeah. So but no, it's got a very Moroccan like smell to it. Like one of the things I thought of, and I always get the name wrong because I mix it up with the Girl Scout cookie. Is it Samoa or Samosa?
I always thought it was Samoa.
So that's the thing that I'm confused on, but it's the...
Well, this year I think there were Caramel Delights. I think they changed it.
But which one's the cookie and which one's the, like, almost like an empanada style fried filled dish? That's what I think of with this. Yeah. I just don't know the name of it properly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that smells uniquely fantastic.
Speaking of that, I tore up the Girl Scout cookies this year.
We did too, and we shouldn't have. We still have a couple shortbread cookies in the freezer. We put everything in the freezer.
I tried, but I just pulled it out and ate it.
So I'm not the Samoa the cookie. I'm not a big coconut. The
Really?
coconut's not the texture of like the coconut shavings isn't big for me. It's a delicious cookie. It's the texture thing.
Yeah.
Samosa. So the samosa, a fried or baked pastry with savory filling. I had to look it up because I just felt,
Okay.
usually with spiced potatoes, onions, and peas. It's a delicious thing that like by itself, if you have it at a good restaurant, it's amazing. If you don't have a good one, it's kind of a bummer because it's with potato in there, it can be very kind of like bland if you don't season it well.
Right.
This could fix a lot of samosas.
Yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned that. I'll be in the UP in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I bet this would be good. I haven't tried it yet, but like on a pasty. Now that you gave me that description, like
that's true.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, a pasty would be a good one to try, especially depending on what flavors. I've only had like 2 or 3 pasties in my life because
so good.
We usually go into the UP is usually just on our way to Canada.
Yeah, I think it's funny. We were trying to figure out like Michigan's food when we were on a business trip a while ago. Couldn't think of it, which turned out to be the wet burrito. But the pasty is, as far as the UP is concerned, the pasty is like the national food of the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, like the pasty is their wet burrito.
Yeah.
I wonder if it leaches over. I wonder if it spreads over to like Minnesota or Wisconsin or anything.
I'm sure as long as there was mining, because it's a mining food, they just took like whatever they wanted to eat for the day, wrapped it in dough, cooked it, and you could just throw it in your pocket. And it's like essentially like a bread burrito with all the goodies inside.
I like how everything always goes back to burrito.
Yeah, you can make anything a burrito. Or
neither one of us, I believe, has a very Hispanic background in our family, but it's just like I want a burrito of some kind. I want a wet burrito. I want basically a chicken pot pie burrito almost, but not as wet, I guess.
Right.
But similar filling. No, that would be a good one. Man, pasty sounds good. That's not a healthy thing.
With gravy.
We're both trying to be healthier right now. I think both of our houses are.
It's going good sometimes.
Mine was going good until the loaded mac and cheese.
I look like kind of like a drug addict. I walk around with a scale now, counting my macros. Someone ate a little too much pasta in Italy, and it really stuck to them.
Yeah. That's going to be
like 15 pounds worth of pasta.
No, pasty is going to be another one where I'm curious how many people have heard of it and how many people have tried it, because we've talked about how we want to find other regions, like what their specialty is that we might not realize. And a pasty is another one that we have. It's not necessarily in our backyard. It's like it's on our block.
Yeah.
Like I don't go to the UP a bunch. We're about, was it 3.5 hours?
3.5, 4 hours, yeah.
3.5, 4 hours away from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So it's not something that we're seeing it every day, but the pasty would be a perfect thing for this. And I'm hoping that we can get our hands on some or make some before we run out of this sauce.
I'll bring some back because I'll be up there in a few weeks. But I'd be surprised if anyone out there that wasn't from Michigan knew about them.
Yeah.
Because like you don't run into them in the Lower Peninsula.
No.
It's like you cross the bridge and you're in pasty territory. And the second you come back down from the bridge, you're out of pasty territory.
There's like no one talks about them. 7 restaurants right across the bridge, but there's really not a lot in Mackinac, which is right on the south side of the bridge. So, yeah, I'm very interested in this. So it's, again, the Hell's Kitchen hot sauce. It's made in New York City. The description on here, ghost peppers, ghost peppers, cinnamon goodness, and insidious heat, a certain breakfast cereal's demonic hot sauce cousin. The heat will haunt you. And again, jokes aside, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a favorite cereal of mine as a kid. I bought a box today. We'll go into a little bit about Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but it is also a cereal that as a kid I rarely got because my parents were healthier cereal people.
Yeah. Honey Nut
Cheerios was a staple. Mm-hmm. So this was always a treat. We never got the Cookie Crisp or the really over the top.
Yeah, I was that weird dry cereal kid. Like, I love milk. I love cereal. Mm-hmm. I don't like soggy things in my milk.
Yeah.
Like, if I dunk a cookie, I got to be real brief with it because I don't want anything breaking off.
Yeah.
But,
They did, the YouTube show Good Mythical Morning, they did recently a video where they did a test of all the cereals, how long can stay crunchy in milk. Mm-hmm. And so they timed it, they tasting it constantly, and they say, okay, this one is done. Yeah. Like, once it lost its main integrity.
Yeah.
I don't think Cinnamon Toast Crunch did very well. I feel like that one does better than, like, I think of like Fruity Pebbles that just kind of wilt.
Yeah, there's not much to those.
Yeah, it's like wilted spinach in a pan, just kind of. It definitely wasn't one of the front runners. Crackling Oat Bran, they just had to call it. They're like, it's just not penetrating because that stuff.
It's like trying to make a peanut soggy.
Yeah, it's like one of those cereals that just does not get soggy, and it's Also one that like, it's, I think of the old SNL skit with Phil Hartman, Colon Blow. We're talking about how much fiber is in one box of Colon Blow cereal. And he's just like on this pyramid of like competitor cereal.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, that is a little gross now that I think about it. As a kid, I thought it was hilarious just seeing him on a sack of cereal. But yeah, that's a good one. Anyway, let's try this sauce. That was a good, man, SNL back then was great. Like, I didn't watch it as much as a kid, but like, yeah, Phil Hartman was a classic one.
It's real hit or miss for me. Probably my favorite one is the Undercover Boss with Kylo Ren.
That is a good recent one.
That one's funny.
Now, as I'm pouring myself a sauce, which this is a very thin sauce, so you have to be careful not to spill on the freshly folded tablecloth that still has not been washed. I say tablecloth.
Oh.
So it's on recording that I said, be careful, it's a very thin sauce. And we have
It was just looking a little too clean.
Yeah, so let's give this a try.
Man. It's hot right away.
It's hot right away. The cinnamon's right there. I love the cinnamon flavor.
Yeah.
It was not something if you hadn't tried it, it's not something I would think of like, oh, that would go well together.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is when I tried this one, I remembered immediately, I'm like, this should go on something.
Yeah. It works really well. When you first look at it and think about it, you're like, oh, it's a fun novelty sauce that you would get someone almost as a gag, you know?
You think, when you think novelty, you think of like some ingredient that you wouldn't think of that they throw in just because it's different.
Right.
Which I think I told you before this episode that it's something where his ideas are just kind of like, this sounds cool, but then he kind of works on it and creates like a delicious sauce.
No, that go good on a lot of things.
It's soaking
chili.
right through. Yeah, the chili.
I don't know if it's soaking through or burning a hole in the table.
Yeah, it is a good heat. Like you said, it was upfront, strong heat. It's holding through. The Trinidad Scorpion, I definitely feel, because we have that Trinidad Scorpion sauce at the office.
Yeah.
I'm getting that same constant.
I feel like that Trinidad hangs on.
Yeah. I would be interested to look at how certain peppers, like what their after effect is. And
don't you worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do some raw pepper specials.
Yeah. Well, that's part of what I'd like to know on those is like, you talk about a pepper. I mean, we kind of learned it in the very first episode we did with Lucky Dog, where he even talked about how he had certain peppers for certain effects of heat.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of our hotter ones we had with Desperately Seeking Hot Sauce. Her habanero sauce was one of our hotter ones. We're on a streak right now.
Yeah. That's good, though. I like that.
So the Moroccan thing holds true for me on this one. I joked with you about how I'd want to put it on ice cream. I still kind of stand by. I want to try it on a little bit of ice cream. Yeah. Like, think of like, if you put this in a milkshake and you had a cinnamon spicy milkshake.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be bad.
No. And I do. Like,
it might negate some of the heat, though, with the dairy.
Yeah.
Because of the casein protein.
I think it'd be good, though, because there's enough cinnamon in this. I do vanilla ice cream with honey and cinnamon on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough cinnamon in this to put it on there and for it to fit. And you're like, oh, it's spicy, you know, but.
Another thing I thought of is a French toast. You do a French toast with, and you have your sausage and eggs, which you normally put hot sauce anyway.
Ooh.
You get that mixed up where you have the cinnamon, the hot sauce,
American breakfast,
the maple syrup. I just got breakfast sausage links from the farmer's market that I'm really excited to try because they look the most rustic, like, sausage links you could have.
Mm-hmm. That's really good.
There was a handful of ideas I had with food, but it's just like the chili one is a really good idea.
Right.
The samosas I stand by is like one. The pasty was one I never thought of.
It would go good on that. A pasty is like very hearty potato, onion, carrot, celery, just baked in that pie. But it'd go good on there. I'm gonna have to steal this one or some of it.
Another one that I thought of. Another one that I thought of because I think when this comes out on Wednesday, I think it's National, not National Waffle Day, but National Waffle Iron Day. I think of chicken and waffles with something like this.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be good.
Right.
Because you could do kind of like a cinnamon.
Oh, my God.
It's a thinner sauce. So again, be careful with the pour. I'm telling this to the audience just because Mike keeps spilling on it.
The live audience.
A live episode would be interesting. Oh.
That was skillful.
I almost spilled.
Was it last episode I was talking about the penny drop test to see how many drops you could get on a...
I think it was.
Yeah. Like, it's good, but it's like the consistency of like... It's like a little bit thicker vinegar.
Yeah.
It's good. I like that, though.
So this one we do a 0 to 5 heat. 0 is no heat, obviously. One is there's just a presence of heat, but it's not strong. 2 is it's starting to ramp up. Oh, got me in the throat. So if you notice, my voice is a little hoarse today. I think my allergies have kicked in. So I'm a little bit more rough. This definitely is factoring in. 3 is where you're starting to like sweat. You're starting to nose running, things like that. 4 is pain, but good pain. 5 is pain, but bad pain.
This is a 3 for me.
I put it as a 3+. Yeah, I would definitely put this as a 3+ for me for heat. It's not pushing a 4 because it's not painful. Mm-hmm. Depending on how much I put on a dish, it could be pretty rough. Yeah. But also, once you put on a dish, there's other elements that's mixing in, so it's not like taking a straight shot of hot sauce. But the 3+, 3+ for sure. Just to go into a little bit about our sauce maker here, I haven't even said his name yet, Ron Menon. He has a fantastic nickname, Chili Pepper Jesus. He has the beard. He has the longer hair. The nickname came from his days actually working back when he used to work at a steakhouse restaurant, Uncle Jack's Steakhouse, which is a fine dining restaurant in New York City. Mm-hmm. Or in New York. He was one of the top captains in the city. So I didn't know what a captain was in the cooking world in a restaurant.
I'm not familiar with that.
So I was just kind of like listening, nodding my head, going, yep. And then I was just like writing down what is a captain. So a captain oversees their own group of tables and own staff. So it's almost like...
I didn't know that.
Instead of... With fine dining, there's a little bit more... People need, you want to make sure that everyone's taken care of, everything's running. Right. Where I feel like having that captain ensures nobody kind of falls through the cracks of like, we go to restaurants where, that waitress is hung out to dry because she's got so many tables or whatever it might be. So he was one of, he talked about being one of the top captains in the city. They used to do a family meal. Mm-hmm. Common restaurant activity, doing family meal, sharing a meal with the restaurant family, usually in whatever meeting they do. Mm-hmm. But he would bring hot sauce. It was just store-bought hot sauce at that point, or it was just hot sauce that he would bring, not ones he made. Yeah. And he said the Mexican and Latino friends that he had there called him Chili Boy, which evolved to Chili Pepper Jesus. That's Chili awesome. Boy's a little bit more...
Chili Pepper Jesus is awesome.
Yeah. Chili Boy's not as fun of a nickname, but I mean, at the time it probably was cool. But it was that time back in like 2007, I think it was, on the interview I listened to him, that the fine dining exposure led him to experimenting with his own sauces, the hot sauce, bringing it to the family meal. He started bringing his own sauces to the family meal and tweaking it based on the feedbacks. But that was kind of the start. Like anybody that kind of gets into hot sauce, they already had kind of a proclivity to hot sauce, or they were, would try hot sauce or be more or less a fan. But that was kind of the start, the culmination of him working on it and creating it. He actually, back in 2014, is when he went full-time, according to his website. When he went full-time, right around his 40th birthday, he had a moment where he's kind of questioning what he had to show for the direction he was going in. Right. And so he wanted to do something and kind of go in this direction. And so he started the... Hell's Kitchen hot sauce. He had already created the label, but 2014 was when he really decided to kind of go full tilt. He actually, back in 2016, had a Kickstarter to help boost, to get the scale up production, add more flavors. Because at the time, like I said, when he first started, if you go to his website, he has videos where he talks about his original 6 sauces. Yeah. He's gone from 6 to 12. So the scaling up has definitely happened. Right. But we talked about the original 6 sauces, the styles. We have a couple that we'll try later, quickfire episodes. One of them, West Side Red, is the Louisiana style meets New York. That's one that I have. Really excited to try that one. One that I didn't get that I'm kind of bummed, because when you have 12 sauces in front of you and you already have 30 sauces in a bag, you don't want to go overboard. Mm-hmm. But one of them that was a really good one of his, Rocking Rasta with Scotch Bonnet, that's the coconut curry. That is a good one that I tried as well. But the Cinnamon Ghost Punch was one that I grabbed, the West Side Red, and then I have to look up the name of the other one. But I have another sauce, and I have their chicken wing sauce, their King of the Wing, which I'm a sucker for good buffalo sauce. Oh, yeah. So, again, artwork was done by Dan Birch for these bottles. And all of his, he cooks all of his own flavors, so he's the one cooking it. He has done some co-packer collaboration when the need is there, but he typically just works out of an FDA-approved kitchen in Queens I think he said in one interview that he was making like 60 case batches a go.
Mm-hmm. And so you said co-packer when he needs, but other than that, just all of it himself for the most part.
Mm-hmm. All of it.
Now, is he doing this full time now?
I believe he's full time now. He does this is an interview I listened to of him with Tasting the Heat back. It was during COVID, so it's within the last 2 years. He was talking about how he also ran a bar called Barcade, which is a video game arcade combo.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Similar to a bar in Grand Rapids. That has a burger place in Grand Rapids.
Pretty good burger.
Yeah, there's a video game arcade combo, Stella's, in Grand Rapids that we debate about how great the burger is, because neither of us are saying it's a bad burger.
I like it.
You're just thinking that when people talk about how great this burger is, that it's kind of overinflating it. Someone
in a position of a large audience said, greatest burger in the U.S.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about that one. And they just picked it up and ran with it, where I'm like, I can name 3 places.
We might have to have a burger showdown.
Not a sponsor, by the way.
Yeah, definitely not a sponsor right now.
Great burger. Great punch. Stella's Punch.
Yeah, they do have some good drinks there. And they have arcades. They have some great arcades, which...
Cool place to hang out.
It is. It's a really cool place. I did a Johnny Walker tasting there in their kind of like back room bar area. Really cool. But yeah, so he has a vast array of flavors. The sauce company itself is named after Hell's Kitchen, which, funny story, when I went to the Boston Hot Sauce Fest, we were there 5 minutes before they opened. Mm-hmm. It was Ron from Hell's Kitchen, and then it was White House Station Hot Sauce was also just sitting out front. And my dad and I were there, and so my dad was like, what sauce is yours? He's like, oh, it's Hell's Kitchen. And my dad, God love him, he was like, oh, like Gordon Ramsay. Like, yeah, so, you got any trouble with that? And he's like, yeah, it's not named after that. It's not, it's like, that came after.
Got any trouble with that?
One of my facts about this, the Hell's Kitchen Gordon Ramsay stuff has nothing to do with Hell's Kitchen New York.
Yeah.
There's in no way any connection. They shoot in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I went to look to see if there was ever any tie where they're like, you'd think that a show that's been running for that long with the name Hell's Kitchen would eventually do like a little fun, like, here's a competition that we're going to have in Hell's Kitchen New York. No.
Yeah. No, Gordon Ramsay's really mean, and it's going to be knockout, drag out in the kitchen.
Because I was ready, if there was any tie to Hell's Kitchen, the show, I'm like, I could go into some of the behind the scenes of that show. Like, that would be really cool. None of that. It's unrelated. But that was my dad's first response to him. And he was super nice about it. He's like, I get that. It's like, that happens. It was just more interesting that my dad had never heard of Hell's Kitchen New York before. But
so I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I think we're on the same page as far as knowing what Hell's Kitchen is. Or like knowing about it. Daredevil.
So
that's how I know about Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen, the Marvel comics, Daredevil, born and raised in Hell's Kitchen. That was my first introduction to Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Now, at the time as a kid, did I know that there was a real Hell's Kitchen New York? No.
Mm-hmm. But
that led me to find out. But I did know that it was a place when I met him a few months ago.
Right.
But yeah, it is the first introduction. Daredevil was the devil of Hell's Kitchen. Interesting enough, on a quick Marvel note, in the comics, Nick Fury was born or grew up in Hell's Kitchen as well.
Really?
The Samuel L. Jackson character, which I don't know if it was his version or the early version was a white guy with an eye patch versus when they changed it to being someone who was black, they modeled it directly after Samuel L. Jackson, which is why it was so easy to cast him. It's like, we literally drew him as you.
Right.
But not the, there was a David Hasselhoff Nick Fury TV show or movie back in the 90s. Not that one. That one they didn't want to bring back. But yeah, so that was my introduction to Hell's Kitchen. But the history behind Hell's Kitchen New York is fascinating. Like, I don't know if they've done like a series specifically just about Hell's Kitchen, like the history within it. But I went on a deep dive on that. I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but it sent me down like a rabbit hole. I did see a lot of like, this is a character, this is a person in history that was portrayed by an actor in this show or this show, like Boardwalk Empire, or, there was one show called The Deuce that had one of the mobsters. I don't know what that one was about. But it was just interesting to me that they haven't done like a very Hell's Kitchen focused one that I'm aware of, because, I mean, you look at Godfather, Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire. You look at all these where it's like Peaky Blinders, all this stuff where it's like people love it.
Yeah.
People love gangs, mobsters, mafia, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Hell's Kitchen has a deep history of that starting out. So I'll go into a little bit of what I've learned about Hell's Kitchen.
I know nothing about it other than Ben Affleck hung out there in Daredevil.
Yeah, with Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
Back during Jennifer Garner's Alias days, which I was very much paying attention. I think she actually trained with those sais. She actually learned how to use them. So I feel like if I watch Daredevil now, knowing that it's just very cartoonish and like,
I watched it not long ago. It wasn't that bad.
There was like a pause of just like
I don't know.
It's okay.
But no, I mean, I still liked it. Jennifer Garner was still perfect, and is a good movie.
Cool.
It's been a long day.
I like to laugh.
Monster. Oh, I forgot my monster. I don't know what to do with my hands today.
I mean, honestly, having some of this hot sauce and then taking a sip of coffee, that'd probably be nice.
Yeah.
With that cinnamon. One of the podcasts I listen to, they talk about like food combinations, like favorite food combinations. And one person just said, I just like hot sauce and coffee. And they're like, what do you mean? They're like, you have breakfast, you have your eggs, you have, you put your hot sauce on there, you're eating it, you have the hot sauce lingering in your mouth. You take that sip of coffee to wash it out. Mm-hmm. The hot sauce combined with the coffee is a good flavor. It's like adding a flavor to your coffee hot sauce.
Yeah.
Because he said he even will drizzle a little bit of hot sauce in it and just sip it down.
This is like a weird tangent we didn't plan. And
cool.
This is kind of a stretch. What does Ben Affleck in Daredevil put in his coffee?
Why are you so obsessed with that movie that was
Hell's Kitchen and coffee?
What does he put in that coffee? Maple syrup?
Nope.
What does he put in there? I haven't watched that movie. Oh, does he?
Yeah, he puts honey in. I don't know what was his opposing actor's name?
Jon Favreau?
Yeah.
Yeah, who played I forget what the character's name. Foggy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what does he replace? Because he says, can you pass the honey? And he pulls the switcheroo on him, and then Daredevil, being able to sense that stuff, switches the coffee on him.
Yeah.
Do you know what he put in his coffee that he switched back, doubled back on him?
Is it ketchup?
Mustard.
Mustard?
Almost, yeah. So there's a very, very pointless, meaningless trivia that'll probably get cut.
That was a leap.
That was a stretch.
It's like, hey.
But it happened in Hell's Kitchen, and we're talking about coffee, so why not, right?
Yeah. I see the. I'm connecting the strings. The strings are connecting. It's
long ones.
But yeah. So yeah, a couple other things I just have notes of things that I read on his website, listened to on his interview and things like that. I mentioned before, it's named after Hell's Kitchen, a neighborhood that he's lived in for, I believe, a while now. I'm not sure how long. He also was talking about how before, when he had other hot sauces, he was kind of getting tired of Tabasco and Cholula as the only options at like restaurants and stuff, where he even talked about how, I know you love Tabasco, but I agree with this, what he said, Tabasco just makes everything taste like Tabasco.
Yeah.
Like if you put too much Tabasco, if you put a dash, fine.
Yeah.
But if you put too much Tabasco on something, it's just going to
taste like Tabasco. Yeah.
Yeah. Which if you love Tabasco flavor,
I agree with
more
that.
Power to you.
That's probably why I use it sometimes.
Yeah. Like if you like the flavor, like
every once in a while. Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit into the Hell's Kitchen history here because like my dad and like ourselves with Daredevil, we don't have a big knowledge of Hell's Kitchen, New York. So Hell's Kitchen, New York is a very specific part of New York. It is west of 8th Avenue to Hudson River, and it's between 34th and 59th Street. It's a rectangular space.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big area.
Yeah, it's a large area, but in the 1850s, we're going way back, it was predominantly Irish immigrants seeking refuge from the Great Potato Famine in Ireland that came over. That was predominantly the population in the area. Pockets of German, Italian, and Jewish immigrants, but the Irish had more or less had ownership of the area. They were predominant in the area. The workers in the area were building railroad, slaving in tanneries, and dock work. So it was a lot of grueling work. Mm-hmm. It was definitely not you think of some of the areas of New York that even back then, a little bit more pomp or a little bit more higher end. That was not this area. This was a very much blue collar area. The name Hell's Kitchen is kind of debated. on the origin of the name. One was that that area became synonymous after some gruesome set of murders and riots in 1881. Another more specific story that I read was it was originally the name of one of the tenement buildings on 39th Street and 10th Street, which is now an on-ramp, so you can't visit. Well, you can visit it, but it's not a building. Where there was a reporter that was police escorted to detail a multiple murder incident that happened in the 1880s, it says, doesn't say specifically, and referred to the building as Hell's Kitchen, quoted as probably the lowest and filthiest in the city. And then later that expanded to the area, which isn't a great, like, the nickname origin isn't that cool? Like,
yeah, that's a lot of pride in that one.
But when you look at the history of, I mean, really, back in the 1800s, I don't think it wasn't like, oh, it was just this area that had crime and gangs and violence. Like, it was well established. The Italian mafia was just there was more organization and hierarchy, while what I read about, they said the gangs in Hell's Kitchen, it was a little bit more cutthroat. It was a lot of families.
Yeah.
And families fight. So there wasn't a hierarchy. There wasn't the same thing that the Italian mafia was. That's why it was like the mafia versus the gangs in comparison. But there was quite a few different gangs in the area that did gambling operations, protection money for different establishments. A couple of the names, an obvious one is Hell's Kitchen Gang. Not that unique, guys. Don't come after me. Parlor Mob.
You're on their radar now.
And the Gopher Gang, which the Gopher Gang, if any of those three, I'd probably join the Gopher Gang.
Yeah.
Not knowing anything about what they do. I just want to say that right now in case someone's just like, do you know that they just like murder puppies? Like, oh.
My mind went to Caddyshack.
Yeah.
It's just like the boys that hang out at the golf course.
I feel like Gopher Gang is maybe like, they were just guys that would get stuff. Like, it was something where if you need to get something on the black market, get the Gopher. Yeah. That's what my mind went to. Could be totally off. I didn't research into each individual gang because I already had a lot. But the two major parts in that area that was fought over was control of the docks, which controls a lot, and then control of the labor unions. So there was a whole history of just different back and forth between different gangs, trying to get control. The only thing that I'll go into a little bit on this was I found it really interesting. In the 1960s, there was an Irish mobster named Mickey Spillane who took control of Hell's Kitchen, and he was called the Gentleman Gangster because he knew how to work the political side as much as the gang side.
Yeah,
and it was just interesting to me because it was like he apparently was doing a lot of stuff. He eventually died. They assumed that he was killed for someone to take over, but you know that he was doing something right when part of his downfall was the Italian mafia wanted in on what he was doing, and he said no.
It's not a good idea.
Not a good idea, but I mean, I get, in a sense, it's like, I'm doing something right. Obviously, I'm doing something right. I'm just going to keep doing it. They want to get in. That just means I'm doing something right. But it was something where then the Italian mafia wanted a piece. He had people underneath him that wanted to take control. So eventually, the rumors out there is that the Italian mafia got someone on his team to kind of take him out, and then someone was promised control as long as they agreed to work with the Italian mafia. Again, right. I would watch a show about the ins and outs of all of this.
I can't believe this hasn't been made already.
I know. And one of the reasons that he did so well is he was married into a family that was running the Midtown Democratic Club since 1905. So he was there in the 60s, so they've been running it for 55 plus years. But yeah, he refused the Italian mafia's involvement. That led to what was called the Irish-Italian Mob War, which again, that's a finale of a show.
Right.
How
is that not a thing?
I'm definitely going to look up like History Channel.
We'll have to tag Netflix in this one.
Yeah. But now the funny thing is I was reading about all of this, and then I kind of muddied where once he was gone, he was the last one that had from what I read, that had like a real focused vision. Like, he had involvements with Madison Square Garden. He was building different centers that was going to bring in lots of money. And then it talks about who took over after him. And then it kind of, the article I was reading kind of teetered off. And then it's like, now it's known for off-Broadway theaters, chic restaurants, and upscale condominiums. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
There's a gap.
Right.
Like, and we just black out and then it's gone. But that one time in the 60s stood out to me where it's like, hey, somebody kind of had it figured out and was really getting organized to a point where then the mafia, instead of looking at Hell's Kitchen like, oh, it's just a bunch of gangs fighting, it's just unruly.
Yeah.
Someone polished it up, and now they're like, that's kind of a pretty penny. I want to
like it was well organized.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't realize how big of an impact they had on New York.
Right.
Like when you start talking about like the gardens and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's a massive influence, obviously, in the city.
But
I wasn't aware of that, which I'm really, really surprised.
It is interesting, though, because I read an article that talked about how there are still remnants of the history of Hell's Kitchen, but also there's this very upscale, like promoting a very more posh, turnaround of it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, that is a really interesting dynamic, because it's not like people are holding on to like the old ways of a place that just used to be kind of like retro and kind of, a little bit different. It's like, no, there's the old ways are a violent, gang-filled situation, but it's just a very interesting history. I'm sure if I dove into any city or any major, especially like a big area like that, I'm sure if you dive into it, there's a lot of violence. Chicago, the history, that's what they usually hit with the TV shows and movies, all the Chicago gangsters, which is our closer city that had it. I mean, here in Michigan, like, we don't have any cities like that have gangs and violence like Detroit. Just sipping my water.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So, I mean, we don't have anything like that, but like the Chicago gangs, there's actually a lot of influence in West Michigan where we're at from the Chicago gangs. Like the escape of gangsters back in the day was to drive north up the coast into Michigan. And actually a lot of the YMCA camps were started as like kind of a safe spot for essentially gangsters to house their families. It's like they'd send their kids up to middle of nowhere Whitehall, to go to camp up there. And up, my parents have a place up in Fremont. And even up there's a lot of Italian names because of the migration from Chicago to seek, I guess, kind of refuge to get away from all of that, so.
I would not have thought of that.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. The lake that they have a place on was named after essentially like the richest, and it's a little lake in the middle of nowhere in Fremont, named after one of like the richest guys that ran, is it Michigan Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah. He like pretty much was the powerhouse of Michigan Avenue back in the day and owned a tiny little lake up in Fremont and built some houses on it. And then, so it's crazy the influence, how it can spread. But so I had a question, is Hell's Kitchen like an official political boundary, or is it like more of a social boundary area?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
That one I'm not sure on. I don't want to speak without looking up, but I just feel like it seems like something back in the day might not have been, but it wouldn't surprise me if it now.
Yeah. Like, does your zip code, if you type in the zip codes, like pop up as Hell's Kitchen?
Well, I know they also talked about it. Hell's Kitchen also is known as like Clinton, and I don't know if that's like Clinton Township or like
Gotcha.
I know that's also referenced in there. While you're double checking that, another just a little fun thing on here. So they talked about how with the fights over the docks and the labor unions and stuff during the Depression and World War II, there was an increase in violence and theft, where a lot of like crates of armament was stolen off the docks. Mm-hmm. Specifically, there was a gang so good at it, they were called the Arsenal Gang, because they would successfully raid ships in the port at such a consistent rate. I'm like, that gang must have felt really good about themselves, of like, they literally are calling us after that.
Right. That's crazy. I feel bad for not knowing any of this, but like, look how it's 1 block away from Times Square.
I didn't even look that up.
No, it's like, it's in like the happening part of New York.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's really interesting.
But so in probably the most dramatic redirect that I've ever done, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Nintendo video game, which is modeled, I believe is what's modeled after the graphic on here. I'm trying to see.
I was going to say the video game or the recent one on the airplane with the passenger.
No.
That Punch-Out?
No. So the Punch-Out! Video game, I looked into a little bit, just a couple fun facts about this. I didn't do a full deep dive. And there's a couple different iterations of the Punch-Out! Where I don't want it to be, because Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Was only like a 3-year run. He only was under contract for 3 years. Mm-hmm. They only promoted it for 3 years, 87 to 1990. And then they stopped promoting it, even though it's like the 11th best-selling NES game.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I never played it.
I played I don't know if it was the official version, but I played a version of it that was on the computer. Because I didn't have a Nintendo as a kid. I didn't have the fun cereals. Didn't get the cool video
I had
game
an NES
systems.
growing up. I had a Sega Genesis and an NES. Pulled the NES out of a dumpster at a church, and that's how I got my hands on it.
I was excited when Angela and I moved in together. She had a Super Nintendo, and I'm just like, sweet, I've never had one of these before. She's like, what?
Courtney has one, and we tried, I think her brother has it, and we love like the original Mario Kart, like the balloons, the turtle shells, and stuff like that. We tried buying one of the cartridges for that game.
Yeah.
It's like $60. And they're impossible to find.
Well, it's all collector's items now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a couple fun things about this, because there was the NES version and then there's the arcade version, which there were some changes in different things. One change that they did for the NES version is they did a little bit of tweaking of some stereotypes that they did. There's a Russian boxer in the NES game that when you play it is called Soda Popinski. Fine enough. Changed from Vodka Drunkinsky, which is what it was in the arcade game. And they said you can tell that they didn't fully change it because his catchphrases were still like related to drinking, where one of them was like, I may not be able to drive, but I'm going to walk all over you. And I'm like, okay.
That is funny.
It's just like, hey, we're just going to tweak it just a little bit. I also saw that Mike Tyson never played that video game until 2013, even though he was in it.
Really?
Yeah. But he...
Love it or hate it?
I don't know what his reaction was. It's hard to gauge Mike Tyson, I feel like.
Yeah.
But he also signed the deal to be on the cover or be the sponsor for it before he even won anything. Really? I think that was part of the reason probably his contract didn't last. I'm sure his asking price might have been more after that. But in the video game, there's 3 different circuits that you do. Like it's like basically like a low, medium, high level. But there is a 4th circuit that is hidden that you can get. I don't know how many people still have a Nintendo system.
Like an Easter egg.
Yeah. There is only in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out specifically, not the iterations after, but only in that you can access a 4th circuit by entering 135-792-4680 and then A and B at the same time. So everyone that has a Nintendo still,
I love
dust it off.
The 90s like cheat codes to find secret stuff. Up, down, left, right, A, start. That's to get all the levels in Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, because nowadays it's like basically what they did back then has been replaced. Unfortunately, it's been replaced with, oh, you want all these things? Just pay $10 for this app, or pay $5 for this, or just the nickel and dime you with the different things. Where this, it was just like, oh no, it's just you got to learn this code.
Yeah, you had to get it from like a friend of a friend of a friend, or you had to buy a magazine that walked you through it. Like I miss that. Now you can just Google it. That's boring.
That's the thing too. Is like I never read about it or I never heard about it from anyone other than just a person that just knew it. Yeah. So how did you know? Well, he told me. How did you know? He told me. So it's like, it was just a word of mouth.
You could probably trace it right back to the designers of the game.
The designer just sent like 2 people out in opposite directions with the code.
Exactly.
And then they come back and say, you guys totally did a game of telephone with the code, but they unlocked something else. So cool. The last thing on this video game topic, which is to me super funny. So the referee in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out very clearly is Mario.
Yeah.
It's very clearly Mario. That was not intended to be in the game. The creator put him in there kind of as a joke.
Yeah.
And just like a placeholder. And assumed through development and approvals and all that stuff, they tell him he has to take it out. No one said a thing. No one said a thing.
So he just
no one
stayed.
removed it. So Mario is in there. So now That's Mario funny. Is a plumber and he is a boxing referee.
That's funny. I thought you were going to tell me like the pixels only allowed for this certain shape. So it's like Mario is just kind of like the default for what the graphics allowed for.
It makes me wonder if like the person in charge of that was either a fan and was just like, that's really cool. Like, let's just let it slide. Or if it was just, oh yeah, looks good. Like kind of just nonchalantly and just let it all pass.
Just signed off on it. Yeah.
Somebody somewhere was like, yeah, it all looks good. Just make sure to put a note in there about changing Mario and we're set. And then no one kept track of it. Man, this sauce, the heat is strong. You've had more of it than I have because between my allergies and this sauce,
it hung on for most of what you had to say.
My nasal cavity is clear, but my throat might be a little bit rougher from the burn. But it's not an intolerable burn on this heat. That's why we put it at a 3, where it's like I got a little bit of sweat on my forehead from it. It was something where it definitely is not one that you douse unless you're prepared for that. Like I know some people that would douse this and enjoy it perfectly fine. I know a few people that I would have try it because I think they'd like the flavor, but they're not going to handle more than a little dollop of it.
Yeah.
But the flavor is so unique. And it's interesting with the tomatoes, that level of heat and that cinnamon, because I feel like the tomato, while it's not like a obvious flavor that's coming through, as I kind of am tasting around, it is in there. It's just blending. It's kind of what's the bridge between the peppers and the cinnamon for me.
Yeah.
And that's where I just kind of start looking into like what, like I almost want to just pour this on, like I want to almost like pour this on like a open Roma tomato and just like bake it to where it gets all like sweet. You know, that sweet cinnamon and then the heat, like it just.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good to me.
No, with how unique it is, I can definitely see a lot of applications for it, which I was surprised about.
One thing, because I feel like even though I went into the history of Hell's Kitchen and it was a lot of gangs and violence and stuff, a positive thing or an interesting thing that's not, you know, completely violent, The New Yorker was started in an apartment in Hell's Kitchen by Harold Ross before it moved to Queens.
Yeah.
I believe it moved to Queens.
How long was it there?
It didn't say how long. It just said that like initially there was people like George Gershwin and like the Marx Brothers and stuff. They were actually like coming to Hell's Kitchen to be interviewed or to, you know, to be involved with the New Yorker. So it was there for a decent amount of time. Fun fact about Hell's Kitchen specifically, the sauce, he also on his website has jerky that he uses some of these sauces flavors.
Ooh.
And jerky, he uses this as one of them. It's a shawarma beef jerky.
Dang.
Yeah. It's called street meat. Street meat beef jerky, which is part of it is in New York, street meat is the meat carts, you get whatever meat's spinning on the spigot and shaved off of there, and it's always delicious. I'll have to
get some of that. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have more sauces ordered for us to do quickfire episodes. We talked about King of the Wing will be a part of like a chicken wing focused episode, which will be really cool, and look out for that in July, hopefully. And then his other two sauces, the Louisiana style, and then I believe the other one is like a balsamic, has a balsamic blend into it. I'll have to look it up. I have a stack of sauces over there
just a couple of them.
Yeah, but I know we're going to want to try more of them because the coconut curry one, even though coconut texture is the thing that I don't necessarily like, I do like coconut curries quite a bit.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
And he definitely blends his flavors well. Part of that is just his fine dining experience working in those kitchens. You can tell him and Sam Hastings from Sam's House. It's a different level of taking some unique ingredients. Like this is a very obvious like cinnamon right up front. Yeah. With Sam, it was like using like salt cured lemons instead of just traditional lemon juice or lime juice. So that's been interesting. We have to address the cereal part of this hot sauce.
What cereal part?
Grape nuts. Let's talk grape nuts. No, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, fantastic cereal, one of the best. It is a General Mills cereal, which I was initially excited because in Michigan, Battle Creek, Michigan, which is only about an hour and 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
It has Post and Kellogg's brand cereals, not General Mills. So isn't
that New Mexico?
It is actually Golden Valley, Minnesota is their headquarters or like where they originate from. But I'm sure they have other locations. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal is the most popular Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal is the most popular cereal in the U.S.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Yeah. I don't know why that's so hard to say.
I don't know why. I even misspelled cereal, so that's why my wording is messed up. Do you want to know what the second most popular is? Well, this is surprising. The second most is more surprising to me.
I'm going to go Wheaties or Corn Flakes.
Close. Special K.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what people are doing.
Wasn't Special K developed in Michigan to prevent a certain handshaking gesture?
I think, I don't know if it's Special K, if it was Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes.
Might have been Corn Flakes.
I think it was Corn Flakes.
Okay.
We're not going to go into details on that one. Do you remember the mascot for Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
The little cinnamon toast guy, right?
That is the Crazy Squares.
Okay.
That is the current as of 2009.
Oh, man.
When someone was fired from being the mascot.
Joe Camel. No.
The original mascot was Chef Wendell.
What?
Chef Wendell was the original mascot from 1987 to 2009.
I'm Googling that one.
So when I see the image of him, when I saw the image, it definitely triggered like a nostalgia of like, this looks like something I would have seen. but I can't for the life of you tell you his voice or how he sounded. I forgot about
that guy.
But like the picture,
yeah, no, I totally recognize it. I would have not remembered that one at all.
Yeah. So Chef Wendell.
Why would you get rid of him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it just like some of those characters when they're a classic like 80s character that they try to bring up. It kind of reminds me of there was a new Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie that came out on Disney Plus this year. It's really good. I enjoyed it. But one of the things that they kind of played with was that was a 2D cartoon. That now in this day and age, doing a 2D cartoon doesn't really sell. You need it to be 3D or animated or CGI or whatever. But for what they did is they had them as they actually were actors that played that character back then, and one of them had the CGI surgery to become CGI, and the other one's 2D. It's really good, but it does kind of point out of like, yeah, the 2D character doesn't work that well, and some of them can transfer into this. You look at the Sonic movie. Mm-hmm. People did not like the original iteration of a non-2D Sonic because of all the different...
They got very upset
Something
about that.
Didn't translate in the transformation.
Like the original trailer, like, all right, we're ready to release the movie, is different than what the actual movie was.
And also, the more realistic you get with the animation, Chef Wendell becomes just a chef, just an old guy.
Yeah.
It's not... And he wasn't as iconic as like a Colonel Sanders or a Ronald McDonald, even though he's kind of gone.
Right.
He's not really around as much. The whole McDonald family's gone. Hamburglar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. I do not like clowns. But it got replaced with Crazy Squares, which is literally just animated cereal pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you remember any other iterations of Cinnamon Toast Crunch that they created? I remember one clearly that I wrote down, but they had a lot.
Cinnamon Toast. Oh,
so they basically, the brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch went with a bunch of different like flavor combinations.
Didn't they do a maple syrup one?
I'm pulling up right now because I wrote the one down that I liked, but I didn't write down the other ones.
Like I wasn't a big cereal, like I didn't come from a big cereal family. My little brother liked it, but for the most part, it was just kind of there. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to have cereal for breakfast. It was just like, not so much a thing. So
I love the Donald Glover stand-up. It's one he did while he was doing the show Community before he became the Childish Gambino rapper, like established actor. And he talked about how his mom, they begged for like the sugary kid-filled cereal, and she agreed to it. But what she did is she poured it into the bottom of a plastic tub and then poured a bunch of healthy cereal on top, and then just said, you got to like eat your way down.
Gotta get to it.
And it was like, and he was like, the messed up thing is like my brother just was crying eating this the cereal. All right, so here's just a few of them: chocolate toast crunch, peanut butter toast crunch, frosted toast crunch, sugar cookie toast crunch for the 2014, 15, and 18 holiday, dulce de leche toast crunch.
Oh man,
there's a lot of them, but my favorite that whenever I see it, I buy it, even though after I eat it, I'm like, I don't need this. I'm an adult. I'm a grown man that needs to eat fiber.
Yeah.
Not this French toast crunch. The little mini French toast pieces.
Oh, yeah.
I love those.
So
not as good as the original.
I thought they were the same thing.
No, they're different.
Really?
Yeah, this is cinnamon. Those ones were literally in the shape of a little loaf of French toast.
French toast. There's cinnamon in French toast.
Yeah, there's a cinnamon flavor.
That's the only one I can honestly say I knew about, but I thought they were the same thing.
Other than there's cinnamon in that one, and this one is rolled in like cinnamon sugar, like the original is rolled in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what flavor difference there is, because it's not like they're going, you can taste the egg. I don't know. So.
These farm raised?
One extra fun fact that will... maybe this will get us more popular with certain demographics. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is Taylor Swift's favorite cereal.
Really?
That's the second time we've mentioned Taylor Swift on our podcast. This is in a positive light. The last one I don't think we were very positive about.
Can you believe she hasn't reached out to us yet? That's twice now for free.
Well, I don't know what her relationship is with Natalie Portman, super fan of the podcast Natalie Portman, but I feel like she would have recommended, allegedly super fan of the podcast. I feel like she would have recommended to her. But yeah, it's her favorite cereal.
Huh.
So obviously that's why it's the most popular, because once she took a bowl of her eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like the whole world just started eating it. Except for Kanye West. I don't think he did. But that's okay. But that's okay. All right. I have my score. I'm feeling pretty good about this.
So am I.
And again, just a quick recap on the score. I really need us to like get a website that just lists this off. So that way I can just be like, if you want to know how we score this, look at the website.
Oh, we're redoing our office. We should grab one of those whiteboards.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because they're going to toss them, so.
We shouldn't really have that on the... It's like... This is now evidence. Anyway, we do a 100-point scale, and really the 100-point scale, to break it down as easy as we can, if it's above 75, we would buy this and have this stocked in your kitchen year-round. If it's above 50, we recommend to buy in general. If it's 25 to 50, it's something that we aren't saying it's bad. We just probably wouldn't say that you have to go out of your way to get. We put like a lot of the grocery store sauces that we like, Louisiana Original, Frank's. We like those sauces, but no one's telling you to go out. It's like telling someone you got to go out and try Applebee's. Go to Applebee's when you want. I
feel like I said that to someone recently.
What, did they got to go to Applebee's?
Go get their ribs.
The Bavarian pretzel sticks with their beer cheese are very good, but also there's a lot of better places you can go to get it. That's the analogy.
Right, like Stella's.
That's the thing. Stella's is amazing. And then if it's below 25, it's not for us, but maybe it's for you. Every sauce that's made, someone made it. I've never seen a sauce maker make a sauce and say, I made this sauce, I don't like it, but someone might like it. Everyone makes a sauce because it's something that they like. It's a personal connection.
Yeah. It's
the same thing when I watch those cooking competitions. The people that do well are cooking a meal that has some type of personal connection or personal meaning to them because there's a little bit more emotion in the cooking. It's not just, I know people will like this. I don't really care about it. My kids are on a rampage. They have not napped today. So that is a fun one. So that's why when we say it's less than 25 for us, it wasn't something that maybe we enjoyed, but like somebody's going to enjoy it. And it's a sauce that once we open a bottle and we try it, if we don't like it, we're probably going to have other people try it to see who likes it the most.
Yeah.
I've had a couple sauces that I've had family try where they're like maybe pick your eaters that go, I don't really like this part that I love. But anyway, that's the 0 to 100 scale.
I got to say, you alluded to 25.
Like I had it?
Yeah.
No.
You were under 25. You were very much so justifying that part of the scale.
I do a really quick, usually on the episode, I do a quick, if it's under 25, it's not for us, maybe for you. And I feel like I wanted to just let that section breathe a little bit while my kids rampage through the house.
That's funny.
So, no, we have not, officially, I don't think we've had a sauce go below 45, which is like the grocery store ones.
Yeah.
But we've never had anything close to 25 on the podcast.
Yeah.
But we've also been very pointed in wanting to try gourmet, small batch, a lot of all natural hot sauces.
Trying the best of what there is to offer.
Yeah. So it's not like we've really put ourselves out there to try a bad one. I do have a couple extracty kind of grocery store ones that I'm like, this will give us the full spectrum of what we're dealing with.
And with those ones, no one's like, man, you got to try this flavor. It's just like, hey, let me know if you can feel your face when you're done with that one.
It's one of those where I had a post just this last Monday talking about how there's heat and there's flavor. Which one do you choose? And the guy presses both buttons. I'm like, that is literally the gourmet hot sauce community is flavor forward that brings the heat.
Yep.
You can go to a grocery store and get a very, very hot sauce. You can go to a grocery store and probably get something that has flavor that no heat. But to get that good combination that's balanced. I'm going to go first because I don't want you to think that I had a below 25 score. I gave it an 82 out of 100.
Yeah.
I really like this sauce.
I had 86.
Okay. We've been very close lately. Yeah. And that's the thing. We feel good with our scoring, but we don't really share. We write it down on the spot. This is all happening as we go. But
so the opposite of 25.
Yeah.
Pretty close to the opposite of 25.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking at my scoring sheet and try to read it, you're probably reading 28 right now.
So for a split second, I looked down when I was like, man, you're really hitting on the 25. And I look down and I see the 2 and the 8. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. That would have been bad.
No, it is a super good sauce.
This is an amazing sauce. It is a sauce that you can be bold enough to try it on a lot of things. It's going to have certain things that will play better with it. There'll be certain things that'll play better with it. We talked about a few dishes that I'm very excited to try on it, but it is such a unique and well-balanced sauce it stands out in my array of sauces that are in my fridge and in my pantry. This is a sauce that is standing out.
It's unique and it's good,
So, no, that is fantastic. And again, we talked heat, 3+ for me, where if I had a lot of it in something, Like if I doused something with this, I would be in a good pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it would move up to a 4. But I feel like using this as proportionate as you would to get the flavor of it and the heat,
right?
I think it's a 3+ for me. And we have been pushing closer to that 4. We haven't really. Have we gotten to the 4 yet?
I don't think so.
No.
I would say the closest thing was the Desperately Seeking.
Yeah, Desperately Seeking mustard. Hot sauce. Yeah, the habanero mustard. We also have a couple sauces that can push that. Not one that I have on the schedule for the next few weeks here, but we have a couple sauces that definitely. Mm-hmm. There's one from Decimation Hot Sauce that was also at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest.
That one doesn't sound hot.
Well, Decimation's the brand name. The sauce that I'm thinking of, I think, is 666 Citrus.
Oh, sweet.
So that's probably the one we'll try just because we haven't, we kind of got to push that heat level to get to that, especially with one that's going to taste really good.
Yeah.
That's his award-winning one, I think. But yeah, but for our Hell's Kitchen hot sauce here, if you want to buy any sauce from him, make sure to check out his website at hellskitchenhotsauce.com. The Instagram name is the same, Hell's Kitchen Hot Sauce. He has jerky. He has the sauces. He has some variety packs. He has an award-winning pack, which has 3 of his sauces. This one, the Westside Red, and I think the Rasta sauce are 3 that have won awards in the past. But check out his website. If you have any questions for us or if you want to give any recommendations to us, definitely reach out to us on Instagram at the Heat Source Podcast. I want to give a couple thank yous at the end of this episode here. One goes out to Ron at Hell's Kitchen for being so welcoming at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest. He was super nice, both when I met him outside, walking through both days. He had recommended some sauce. He had me run through the gambit. He was super nice to my dad for thinking that he was named after a Gordon Ramsay contest. I'm excited for the next hot sauce. I'm going to find a MasterChef hot sauce and be like, nope, it's not after that. Another big thank you to Steve at Mammoth Hot Sauce. I feel like I do this every week, but we've had a few giveaways, and we're in the middle of this giveaway that he's doing, and it's really cool that he's giving people the opportunity to get a free sauce, especially one like Mad Jupiter that we both loved. Mm-hmm. And I always like to thank him for the spoons, because these spoons have worked out well, although this week Mike has had an issue.
He's got a little excited.
Keeping it on his spoon, which sounds like a weird euphemism. And also just want to thank everybody for listening in. We've had... it was something where last week we did that sriracha episode where we compared the 2 srirachas, and it didn't take off like some of our other episodes. Mm-hmm. Part of it, I think, is just people gravitate more towards those community hot sauce companies. But it's still, we had a weekly update of like how many people listen and all that. It still was strong. Like people still listen. We had a message from Stanky Sauce talking about how every week they learn something new. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to learn stuff new on this one because we went in 17 directions. But
I didn't even have to bring my facts up this week.
I know. I felt like I was going through a lot of it, but thank you for everybody that's listening and following. And yeah, and thank you for staying till the end of the episode. These ones are an endurance run.
Yeah, right.
But if you do enjoy it, just make sure to leave a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Send us a message. Leave your favorite cereal. Growing up, what was your favorite cereal? Because I loved Cinnamon Toast Crunch was a specialty for me, but French Toast Crunch was mine.
Yeah.
Because it was something new and it just looked cool.
Yeah. I didn't have a favorite, but I probably ate Fruity Pebbles and Reese's Puffs the most.
Yeah, my kid's favorite is just the marshmallows from Lucky Charms.
That too.
Just the marshmallow. I have bowls of we got chocolate Lucky Charms. So it's literally chocolate cereal and marshmallows. Still won't touch it. So, but yeah, leave your, just comment with your favorite cereal because I'm curious what other people have tried, or maybe there's one out there that's not been heard of. The pasty, if you've heard of a pasty, let us know that too because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'd be real interested to know who's
This seems more obscure than Wet Burrito. Wet Burrito surprised me. This would not surprise me if no one's ever heard of it.
Yeah. I'm going to be more surprised if someone's heard of it than I was about people not knowing about a Wet Burrito.
Yeah. So definitely leave that out there. And thank you again. And we will talk to you next week after 4th of July weekend when we will be trying 13 Stars veteran-owned hot sauce. So everyone have a happy 4th of July, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. worked super good for my wife. She lost a ton of weight. You might have to cut that one out.